Okay, now we're going to drill the holes for this power transformer. And as you can see with our output transformers mounted here, we've got a good 2-finger wide gap here, which is, let's do a little quick measurement. We got 40 millimeters between these two, which gives us a nice distance because the inductance falls off with, I think, the square of the distance. So, or maybe it's the cube. I know it falls off rapidly. And so having this distance in here will help keep any inductance from this getting into our outputs. And also, you don't ever want to do this and have these laminations all in a line. You always want to turn the power transformer 90 degrees to the output transformers. So let's get busy drilling some holes. Okay, I'm going to show you another way of marking these holes off. First, we mark off the center of our corner bowl hole here, because we want this over here in the corner. And I don't really want to cram it all the way to the edge, so we're going to have it sitting about right there, with that flush with the side of the chassis. And so here's our mark right there. That is the center of this corner bowl hole. So we can, instead of direct marking, which some of y'all might be more comfortable doing the measuring method. And so what you want to do is measure from the edge of this hole to the outside of that hole, and that'll give you the center point. And that's 62 millimeters, and that's the width. So we can come up here and mark here and there. And that's going to tell us that's where our other hole needs to be. Then we can come in from this edge, which is 15 millimeters again, and mark our 15 millimeters. So then we know that's where our two holes are. So let's go ahead and mark these two holes. And mark that one. Okay, I put a little extra dimple there, but that's okay. And then we want to do the same thing on these slots. We want to be measuring from here to this back edge over here, like that. And that'll tell us where the center of this slot is. And on this one, it comes up to 69 millimeters. And this is just another way of doing it. Like I said, some of you might not be as comfortable, just kind of eyeball measuring it through the hole. And this probably is a little more accurate, but it's also more prone to making a mistake. So after if we look down here and check to make sure those marks are all in the right place. And unfortunately, I had the camera zoomed in, but basically you just go in there and go zoop, zoop, and drill all 4 of these pilot holes, like that. And then come back, put the transformer up, make sure the pilot holes look like they're centered in those holes. And then we come back with our final drill bit size, the main mounting size. Let's see if we can get this wood up underneath these holes a little better. There we go. When you can see the wood through the hole, you know what's underneath it. go. There's our power transformer mounting holes. And you can decide which way you like better, like individually measuring the holes or just sighting through the holes and making the marks. Okay, the next thing we need to mount is this choke that's going in the front of the chassis. That's this little guy right here. And this is going that direction. We're going to have this guy going in this direction. So let me turn this around so y'all can see a little better. Like this. And again, I want to put it up here, right up in the corner. I think this one, I'm just going to mark the holes through the slots. Like I did on the output transformers. Again, everybody has their own preference on doing layout and what they think is going to end up being more accurate. So I want to have these two about the same distance from the front. So we'll put one there and one there. We'll mark these two holes. Just like that. And then yep, those look good. I'm going to do a little sideways mark on this one, so I know right where the center of the slot is. Right like that. And then we'll make this one, get that one in the same spot. Just like that. And then we'll come back and mark these two holes. And really, to be the most efficient, probably would be smart to, you know, mark all the holes, spot drill all the pilot holes, double check everything, then come back and drill all the pilot holes, and then drill all the finish holes. And then you're not swapping the bits in and out and stuff like that, but I'm trying to do this step by step on this video. And then I'm going to spot mark those two. Line that up. And those look good to me. This one needs to go that way just a little bit. So I'm going to kind of drill down a little bit and kind of go at an angle like this and be real careful so I don't slide it across. See, that moved it over just a breath. And this back corner needs to go that way just a little bit. So what we're going to do is slightly elongate that hole. I Like I said, it was off just a breath, and it probably would have been fine, but I like to try to get these holes as centered as possible. If we're going to the trouble of doing this, let's try to do this as nice as we can. And there's the holes for our little external choke. It's going to sit right there. And then we're going to be putting our rectifier tube right here between the power transformer and the choke. And I'll explain why I do it like that. So the last thing we've got to do is we need to drill the holes for the grommets to run the wires through the chassis. And on all of these transformers, the hole for the wires is centered right on these lugs. Some of them they're not. Those big egg cores I used on my 300B, these lugs are out further, and the holes are inboard for the grommets for the speaker or for the transformer leads. And so make sure you look at the transformers using. But on these, the hole lines up right centered on that. And so I'm going to go pick out some grommets and show you how to drill the holes for that, and then we're done with the mounting all the iron. All we got to do then is bolt it all down. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is make sure that these wires are centered between the lugs, because they're not always centered. And on this transformer, they're centered. And it looks like 31 millimeters. Again, we can measure across here, and we get 62 millimeters. So 31 millimeters would be right in the center. So we want to come in here and mark off 31 millimeters, and then maybe come from this direction too. And again, this does not have to be just super precision, because there's a little bit of gap between where the transformer hole is and the chassis. You've got this distance here, and so if that hole's off a little bit, the wires can go forward or back a little bit like that. It's not going to be super critical. So I've picked out some grommets. I have this little kit that I got on Amazon that real handy to have. It comes with a whole assortment of different size grommets, and it wasn't real expensive. These were all metric size. So you pick out some that you know the wires will fit through. These are a little larger for the 3 wires. This is for the choke, and the outputs of the output transformers, and then these 2 larger ones are for the power transformer. So you want to come in, and obviously very lightly, you can see where it's, let me see if I can zoom in here. I mean, you can see when I'm trying to measure this, it's real easy to like smush it in. You obviously don't want to do that. You want to measure what the hole size that this is going to fit in. So you just kind of watch it, and as soon as it starts to squish, and that's like a 6 millimeter hole that we want for these smaller grommets. So, and I'm going to go ahead and measure all these, get the drill bits ready, and then just knock out drilling these holes so we can move on. So we want to do the same thing down here. Come over. Probably do it this way, you can see better. So come down like this and mark that. Come over and check it. Yep, that looks good. We'll mark this one. And that looks good. So then we're going to come in and of course my center punch is underneath the chassis again. We're going to mark all these holes. And this time I am going to mark and drill all the pilot holes at the same time. That is same dimensions, 62 millimeters, so 31 to the center of that. Let's mark those two holes. That, and then, again, like this, the wires come through here and here on these two, here and here on this one, and then on the choke, it's just in this back hole. So the distance across this is 50 millimeters, so we come in 25. Probably going to be somewhere between those two. Somewhere between those two marks is going to be where we want to be. And knock that out. So let's drill all our pilot holes. Move our wood back to the other end of the chassis for drilling these holes out. Okay, then we need to find the correct drill bits for all of our different grommets. And we have 3 that are the same. The other thing you can do, and let me see if I can zoom in and show you this too. The other thing you can do is, because measuring it's not always perfect, so you can come in and hold the drill bit. It's going to be hard for me to show you doing this. You can hold the drill bit up to the grommet and find one like that. The drill bit looks the same size as the rubber, and then go with that. So we're going to use that size drill to do the rear holes for the output transformer and the choke, because they're all using the same size grommet, which would be this hole here. Tighten up my chuck a little. And then move the wood up to the front to drill this hole. Then we know we're going to need a little bit bigger hole for the grommets that we're going to be installing for the plate and power wires to the output transformer, because we're going to be using a slightly smaller, slightly larger grommet. And I think this bit here looks right. And while it is nice if the grommets fit really nice and snug, it's not the end of the world if they're, they don't fit absolutely perfect. The main purpose is just to protect the insulation of the wires from the sharp edges of the chassis and eventually shorting out. And then last, we have these larger grommets that we're going to be using for the power transformer. And it's going to take quite a bit larger size drill bit. And that one right there looks like it's right on the money. And we'll come back and deburr these holes, install the grommets, and then we can bolt the transformers down in place. And that's the point. Well, actually, we probably aren't going to bolt the transformers down just yet because we still got to drill the holes for the tube sockets. So let me get this drilled, and we're probably getting right at the limit of another video. Okay, and now let's put our largest bit that we're going to use for deburring all these holes. And we're going to be real careful with these two. And just put almost no pressure down on it. And then go around. Okay, I think we'd already deburred those output transformer holes. So we'll can be real careful on these larger size ones. And there we go. Now we have all the holes drilled for all our transformers. So I'm gonna show you real quick popping in one of these grommets. And it's just like that. And then you might want to come in on the inside and then see how, let me zoom in here. See how the lip's kind of not in there right? You kind of just get your fingernail, go like that. And it's snug, but it's not just really tight. You don't want it squeezing in the sides, especially if you've got a grommet that was a snug fit around the wires to start with, because you could end up pinching the hole down in the center where then you can't get the bundle of wires that you wanted to get through. Because you don't want it to fit too tight, because then if it was pretty snug for the bundle of wires that you were picking the grommet for, you could end up, if the hole's too small, it could make it hard to get the wires through and actually might defeat the purpose of having the grommet, of cutting through the grommet because it was too tight for the hole that you drilled. So we're going to pop these grommets all in these holes, and I think that's going to be it for this video. And again, you all were asking to do this very step by step. You wanted to see every hole drilled. And so this is going to take quite a few videos to do that. And so if some of this is starting to look repetitive to you, obviously you can scroll and skip ahead for parts that do look too repetitive. And, go to where something looks new or something that you're not sure about and you want to see more about. Like popping these little grommets in. Probably isn't the most exciting thing to watch on YouTube. But we're this close, we might as well show it all. And then we have one grommet left. And then roll over and look on the inside. And that one needs a little love. And there we go. So now we got all the holes for the iron with all the grommets in. We're ready to start figuring out where we want to put the tube sockets, how we're going to orient them, and make sure that they're not interfering with other things. Start thinking about how we want to put the tag strips and mount all of them. And that's just the process. And I know I've got some people, like some guy left a comment, "Stop yakking, I want to buy a kit." Guys, I haven't even made the prototype yet. So y'all need to be patient. It's probably going to be more like the end of the year before I even start taking orders. So anyway, hope you're enjoying this series. If you are, please sub, please like the video, and I'll see you soon for more 6SQ7 fun. Have a great day.